Welcome back to the Emotional Support Penguins podcast. Episode 4.
Wow.
Wow, you know, with the Emotional Support Penguins podcast, you know, we're here, just a little bit of respite for your week. Sometimes you need to stop, drop, and waddle your own way out, you know? It's a little something different this time. See if anybody notices. Actually, so this week, it's pretty cool because we have a viewer request.
We do.
Someone had written in and asked us to do a particular topic. Would you like to inform the viewers what we're doing this week?
So what we're talking about is postpartum.
Yeah.
So after having a baby, and don't run. I know this does not apply to everyone, and a lot of you may feel like this isn't something in your future or something you've been through, but I can guarantee you we all know someone who is a mom or is a dad or is about to become a new mom or dad, or you will just a new parent in general. You will come across one and at some point in your life. And not only is it good if you are planning on becoming a parent to kind of know what to deal with and what's to come, but it's also really great to know how to be a good support system for someone you care about when they are.
Yeah, like you said, not only that, it doesn't just have to be for, after pregnancy. It could be surgeries. It could be aging family members. It can be somebody that's just going through a hard time. So some of these things are just going to be general good things to do for people that are struggling. But we're just talking kind of specifically on this topic, and then we will, kind of have some broad strokes things. Right. So what is postpartum depression, and kind of what would people be looking out for? So
I will say, as a new mom myself, I didn't know either that there are really almost, I guess, 3 levels that can happen. So as everyone knows, you get pregnant, you're pumped, chock full of hormones, your body, everything is different. What surprised me was after I gave birth, it felt like the hormones were way, way worse than when I was pregnant. And when you see it in movies and when you see it in stuff, it's like the pregnant people are the ones that are like crazy and emotional, and then they have the baby and then they're like completely fine.
Look at this bundle of joy.
Exactly.
Everything's perfect.
So I was really floored by how differently my body like responded to things afterwards. And I didn't even know, which is something that I had, that baby blues were a thing. So basically that's like, to us, there's 3 levels, like baby blues, postpartum depression, and then postpartum psychosis. Baby blues, what did they say? Like 4 and 5 people?
Yeah, 4 to 5 people out of 5 people, like roughly 80% of all people after postpartum, after the baby's born, within the first couple weeks have the baby blues. So what are some things that kind of with the baby blues that come around? And most of them I definitely hit. So it's, lack of sleep, loneliness, feeling overwhelmed, not interested in things that used to make you happy, like hobbies or activities or whatever, troubles making decisions, feeling like you don't have enough time, because you have this baby and then you have to do chores and and just feeling like there's not enough time to get, that was a big It's
one.
a general feeling of overwhelming feeling.
Yeah.
One thing is to note, it says that both partner can get the baby blues, because it's just a huge life change.
Yeah.
Not only is hormonally changing for the mom, but the other partner then can experience food changes, sleep changes, lifestyle changes, money changes. There's so many changes all at once, and it really hits in. I mean, these are big things that hit. I mean, the sleep deprivation can be a huge thing that triggers that for a lot of people.
And 2 of the really big ones are isolation. Especially if you're a people person, and then you go from that to having a little person that depends on you, and you're staying home more, and you don't leave, and you don't want to get them out in those first very vital months because they can get so sick. And then your loss of identity, where you're now a parent. Yeah. So what does that mean? What does that look like for you?
Everything revolves around it.
Yeah, and so everything kind of changes. So those are some big ones that can affect.
Yeah. And so if someone's dealing with the baby blues, what are some ways that you might be able to help someone?
So I feel like baby blues and even postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis, all of them go hand in hand with the type of things that helped.
Yeah.
So for us, one thing that really helped was our parents.
Yeah.
Both of our moms, they took a week each and stayed with us right after we got home from the hospital.
And one thing we will note, though, is that our situation was different than most.
Right.
Amanda had a very hard pregnancy, ended up having to be a C-section, and basically couldn't do much other than be bedridden for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And so that was very, very hard on her physically. She was someone that wants to do all the things. And, she couldn't lift the baby, couldn't, we had to make sure that everything was happening, which we were happy to do. But it's just, with those first 6 weeks, it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
And so my mom and her mom were the first 2 weeks kind of say, oh, you get a week, and helped be here, slept on couches, there's a pull-out couch right under here.
Yeah.
And that was just so helpful for me to get a little extra rest. You have more peace of mind having rest. Just having them there and saying, like, what do you need to do? Doing dishes, cleaning up around the house, things that needed to be done, bringing in some extra food. Just super simple things that were super helpful.
So speaking of the food, that's another really, really great one. And I know a lot of the time, and that's one that can, anything, surgeries or somebody's just struggling. Yeah. Food is such a great connector.
Yes.
We had at our baby shower, my sister-in-law brought me just a card that was like, these are good for when baby gets here, I'm going to do meal prep. And so she froze like a week's worth of food for us and put it in the freezer.
Like pastas and stir fry type meals and all kinds of stuff. And it was great. We did for the first couple weeks, certain nights we didn't know what we were going to cook. We just pulled those out and they had little instructions on it. So I could just throw it in the oven or throw it on a stovetop or something like that. Yeah. And it was so helpful. So everyone's got to eat. Another friend, Jay Robsky, sent a gift card for DoorDash. So we would get Wingstop or Panera or just something that
it was really nice to have that transition. So we used these foods basically after our moms had left. Yeah. And so it was a really good transition into okay, now it's just the two of us. What do we do now? Yeah. So that was really, really helpful and supportive.
Yeah. So some of those things are great. And like we said, helping out with chores. If you have an opportunity, I would say don't text just oh, what do you need? Just be like, hey, is there a day this week that I can come over and help? And that could be things like coming to hold the baby if they want to have us time away from the baby for a little bit. That could be things like just sweeping the floor or doing some dishes. There's so many bottles that need to be done and things that need to be cleaned up. That are just so helpful. They might be piling up in the room there. Bring over some diapers. Any of those types of things would be so helpful. Just come over and be with the person.
Yeah, and you kind of have to know your friend, know your sibling, know whoever you're visiting. There are very different ends of the spectrum. Like some new parents are like, will you come over and do things so that I can just hold my baby and just breathe for a second and not have to worry about all the tasks around me? Yeah. I was one where I held the baby 24/7, literally all day, all night. And so I was dying for someone to just hold the baby for me so that I could take a shower, so that I could step outside and breathe, so I could go to the bathroom by myself. Just all of the things that you kind of take for granted and you don't realize how life-giving a shower is when you're in that postpartum fog.
Yeah, and it's good to talk to them because we said there's different levels. So the baby blues are some of those things. It's just a general kind of down. You don't feel yourself.
Right.
Feel kind of disconnected with your partner. You feel disconnected with other people. But then there's a second level postpartum depression where it starts to get. This comes on a little bit later. Sometimes the second or third week, where it's even more of those lack of. Feeling yourself, but a deeper ache, and it gets to a point where normal tasks are hard to complete. You have a disconnect with your baby and your partner. deeply, and then you just like completely start to lose yourself. And that's when it's great to consider talking to a mental health professional, reaching out to your physician, finding a support group.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways that you can help that. Reach out for help. You are not in this alone, and like don't feel as if you're a burden on other people, because I know that if my friend would say, hey, like I need some help or whatever, I would love to jump in to help them. So reach out to somebody. And if you don't have that, maybe you can find like a local faith community or like a local support group, like a mom's group or a dad's group that could help and be a part of that.
Absolutely. That was one thing that I loved was I had moms, friends that were also moms that I didn't really talk to normally. Like these were acquaintances and friends and stuff. But then as I had the ones I had the baby, they were reaching out more because it was something they had just gone through within the last year. And you don't realize what it's like until you do it. You think you do, and you think you understand. I mean, I have 7 nieces and nephews, so does he. And so you feel like you've been through this, you've watched your best friend go through it, and you feel like it's something you understand. And it's very different once you actually go through it yourself and kind of feel what it feels like.
So if someone's kind of struggling with some of these things, when do you think they need to like go to see professional help?
Oh, that's a rough one. So you have an appointment, I think, is it 6 weeks after the baby is born? And they give you a survey, like a questionnaire, and they're basically trying to gauge how mom's doing. And what's on there, what they're making sure is that you don't have postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis, where you can actually hallucinate. Wow, that one didn't want to come out. Hallucinate, and you can self-harm, harm your baby, harm others. That's the really scary one.
And that's like a 1 in 1,000. But it's still, it
still exists.
It still exists, and it's scary.
Yeah. So it's important to kind of know and like pay attention to how you're feeling, and not just to shove it down and think that all moms go through it, and so you just power through. So that questionnaire was actually really helpful for me because it gave me like point of references. Like it would be like, are you sad every day? And I'd be like, yeah, like there is a point every single day where something makes me cry. Like postpartum, it just was every day. And it could be happy. It could be something made me happy and I cried, or it gets something sad, or I was hungry, or like you don't know when it's coming. It's just like as a wave of emotion. But then it's like, are you able to find joy and enjoy your baby during the day? And those are where those lines start to kind of delineate, where you're like, okay, yeah, I am having very happy moments. I am very happy and thankful.
Postpartum depression, it's like, do the feelings not fade after like 2 weeks? Are they just continually getting worse? Is it hard to take care of your baby? Is it hard to take care of everyday tasks? Those are all things that are doing it. And then, if you're having really negative thoughts about yourself too, those are all things that you would want to consider professional help for mental health. But yeah, reach out to friends and family, I would say first. And you tell them you're struggling, like you tell your partner that you're struggling, things that you're dealing with. Man, there's so many things. Well, what can the parents do for yourself? Kind of postpartum, right out the gate, what are some things you can do for yourself?
Some things that are super helpful are just get some air. Like step out of the house for a minute. That postpartum bubble can get you.
Even if it's just like walking around your neighborhood.
Even if it's your neighborhood or your backyard, literal air, just fresh air. Just step out into the sunshine for a moment if you can.
Or if you can run to the coffee shop or something like that.
Exactly. Yep. One of the things that helped us a lot was getting help with night feedings. So I nursed our baby for the first full 6 months, and then we combo fed. But the night feedings, like that was the hardest part for me because I had to physically be awake every 2 hours. It was whether or not he was nursing or whether or not he was pumping or whatever we were doing, I had to be awake for it. And so there was never a time in 6 months that I got to sleep in, not once. There was not more than 2 hours at a time.
Colicky,
very unhappy baby.
So after she fed, and then I, for the next 30 minutes, had to hold him up and pat him.
That's what I was going to say. What helped was, even though I couldn't have someone help me with the night feedings as much, I then gave him the baby, and I would just go right back to sleep, and he would then burp, and we had to sit him up for 30 minutes, and he would have the diaper change and getting the baby back to bed before I then had to wake up to feed him again. So it's nice to have some kind of support, some kind of help, especially during
and
the
those first
night.
2 weeks, our parents were there, like I said, the different weeks that we're able to kind of switch off to help with those too.
Yeah.
And, just help having the extra bump to help get things forward. If you can, take time for yourself, and this like includes like getting a shower if you can. Just help your partner out, like either one of you, like I'll take the baby for the next 30-45 minutes. Just go get clean. It's like amazing how like much of a boost it is to your self-esteem, and like and it's something to check off the list. Like I got something done besides the baby thing, because sometimes you feel like you have a whole day with that the first few months where you're like, all I did was clean up poop, feed this baby, make sure it was sleeping, and like try not to fall asleep like while they were awake, and like little tasks like making some food for yourself, taking a walk around, or taking a shower, like life-giving.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
if you can get somebody else to come over and help, just hold the baby for a bit, or just be with the baby while they sleep, and you could go do that. Because the first few months especially, like you're checking if they're breathing,
right?
You're watching the monitor even when they are sleeping.
You're
just like staring at them like, what do I do with this little human?
A lot of responsibility.
Yeah. And so we also talked about the support groups, some things like that. Eating healthy if you can. I know it's
this one's cliche. I know.
This is hard. Eating healthy and exercising if you can. Obviously, if you had a really hard pregnancy or like a C-section, you don't want to do that right away. But know your body, and know if like you exercise before and during pregnancy, know your limits and be able to figure that out.
And just, eating in general, sometimes parents can get so wrapped up in making sure that the baby is okay that you very clearly have taken the back seat. And it's really important to just, feed yourself. Like you need it. You need the energy that you get from it. You need, sustenance.
Yeah. And then lastly, talk with your healthcare provider if there's things that you don't understand. It was helpful. We would call the pediatrician or our midwife and things like that, ask questions about things, and they're just super helpful.
They were so great.
You can only Google so much, and there are some things that are like up in the air on Google, like either way, and you're like, I'd like to talk to a professional. And it was just super helpful to our new parent heart, just to get another opinion. So if a friend and family, it says, okay, you're postpartum, what are some things? We've mentioned a lot of these already, but we'll just go through a quick list here.
One thing I do want to make sure that is kind of pointed out again is don't say, what can I do to help you? Because new parents are so overwhelmed and are already making so many decisions on not a lot of sleep, that it's really, really nice when someone else just says, hey, I'd like to come see you. And then they get there and they wash a couple baby bottles, or they, see that you have a baby basket of clothes sitting next to you, and they just sit next to you and talk and fold those baby clothes. Like it's littlest gestures. And I know some people will be like, oh, don't do that. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm embarrassed. Like most of the time they're saying it out of politeness. Just say, you snuggle that baby, you do what you need, let me help, let me love on you.
Or like we said earlier, if you're the opposite, if you want to hold the baby and do the chores, or if they want to hold the baby and let you do the chores, you know what I mean? Like whatever works out, but just be the friend that's going to step up.
Right.
And
or even if the chores are outside the house and something they're not able, like grocery, like doing a grocery pickup for them, even if they order it and you can go grab them.
They need to go grab diapers
absolutely. Just stuff
sleepers.
like that.
We were in newborn sleepers like a week, and then we were into the,
the 0 to 3
months, like immediately, because he was just a big baby. And so we had to get new stuff right away, order on Amazon and other things like that. So
it all had to happen quick.
This is another thing, if they have other kids, so we only have one, but if they have multiple kids, like offer to take the toddlers or younger kids out for a bit, or offer to come over and play with them or hang out, or if you have kids, have them over with you, and just a way, so that they can focus and get things on a good schedule with the newborn, and that way it's not so crazy.
I know from friends that and siblings, that when you have the older kids and you're trying to focus on such a new baby, it sometimes you start to feel bad because the older ones aren't getting as much time and attention and one-on-one and enrichment and activity. And so if your friend or, family can pull that even just one day and do something really fun with them, it's really helpful.
Yeah. I mean, always good things, coffee, dessert.
Yeah, he loved it when people brought coffee. That was like his number one. Like, hey, bring me over a coffee. That's his favorite. Yeah.
Just sometimes you need to just come over and talk and listen.
Yeah.
Because those first, we jokingly said, like, at 6 months, we were like, it's just nice to have adult conversations with someone instead of just like, have you fed him? Have you had a diaper? We were so tired that we didn't always have the best conversations all the time. And so it's just nice to like have somebody come over and just talk and
talk about things that are happening outside of the house, in the world and, what's going on in their life, just to change things up a little bit.
And a lot of these apply to other things. Like I had a hernia surgery years ago, and that was super helpful when people would just come over, offer to do things or, just help me out. And it was just so helpful. And I felt so loved when people, coffee or come over to talk or help me move something that I couldn't move physically. And so, just be that friend that you would want to have when you're struggling.
Even if you can't show up physically, a text goes a long way just to let someone know you're thinking about them.
True.
And I will say something I've heard from other moms, and so I know it to be true, is that don't always text and ask about the baby.
Yeah.
Text
true.
and ask about the parents.
Yeah.
Ask how they're doing, how mom's feeling, how dad's feeling, like what, you know what I mean? Because it can feel like your whole world gets so revolved around this sweet little new baby, and that's all anybody else cares about too. And then you kind of fade into the background a little bit. So just having that one, that text and that reach out and just to know that people are thinking of you as well as your new members is really great.
Yeah. Well, to all our parents out there and all the friends that help those parents, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
You're doing incredible things to shape these new generations. Trying to do better than before and just really try to love them well and do that. So, send the new generation the you are loved, you matter, and you have so much value. Pass it on to the little ones.
Yeah.
And we say that all the time to Ronan, and we really hope that he lives that in his life. So, hey, thank you so much for watching and listening to the podcast today. Hopefully you have a friend that, you can help out, or maybe you're going through this right now and you can send it to a friend and say, hey, help. It's okay to ask for help, and you're worth it. And people are going to be happy to help and get involved.
Yeah.
So we'll see you later. Thanks so much.
Thanks.